Take a look around you and see if you can see. The living earth is calling from every flower and tree. Listen to the music in the whispering of a brook. Think what you'll discover when you take a closer look.
The Cherokee people believe that everything is connected. Everything that is living is part of the great cycle, and we as people, human beings, are part of that great cycle also. We believe that plants are our special friends, and that harmony in our relationships with plants and all other parts of the land promotes our well-being and the well-being of the earth. The land of the Cherokee before the time of European settlers included the southern Appalachians from what is now Georgia to West Virginia. This is a land of great beauty, majestic mountains, fertile valleys with graceful rivers, lush forests filled with many different plants and animals, cool mountain streams, and high mountain balds. Every part of this land and all living things are sacred to the Cherokee, for the Cherokee understand that they are connected to this land. Only by taking care of it, as the land takes care of them, can the people live well. This is their understanding. All of life is woven into an intricate web that includes all people, all animals, all plants, and the land itself. The Cherokee believe that plants have a spirit, and it is through the spirit that people can know the plant and can understand how it might be used. The Cherokee respect all living organisms and always give thanks for what these plants provide to the people. The Cherokee were great observers. Long before Europeans explored this land, every plant had a Cherokee name, and its name describes something about the plant. Mistletoe, which gets its nutrition from the trees it lives on, is called
Udasli,
or it is married. The black-eyed Susan is called
Akta,
or deer eye. Mayapple, with its broad umbrella leaf hiding the large white flower underneath, is called
Unishquetusti,
or it wears a hat. Some plants are named for how animals use them. The wild rose is
Zist Unigisti,
the rabbit eats it. Shield fern is called
Yon Udzestone,
the bear lies on it. Over 800 different kinds of plants have been used by the Cherokee for hundreds of years for food, clothing, shelter, or medicine. Even today, many of these uses survive through traditions which are kept alive by the stories passed on to children and grandchildren. Plants play important and varied roles in these stories. Freeman Owle, Cherokee storyteller, tells many stories about plants, including the Cherokee myths, old stories about the beginnings or origin of things. These myths have been told by Cherokee storytellers for hundreds of years. Listen to these parts of two old myths told by Freeman Owle, the origin of strawberries and the origin of medicine.
The first man and first woman lived together peacefully and happily until one day they began to quarrel. And the woman took off very angry until suddenly she saw in front of her a patch of large ripe strawberries. And she sat down right in the middle of the patch. She began to eat. As she did, she thought of her husband. And she soon picked a great large handful of strawberries. And when he met her, she accepted him kindly, and they went back home together. And so were the first strawberries. In the old days, the beasts, the birds, the fishes, the insects, and the plants could all talk. and they lived together with the people in peace and friendship. But as time went on, the people increased so rapidly that the poor animals found themselves beginning to be cramped for room. Man began to slaughter the animals. The animals decided to begin war against man. The deer decided to send rheumatism to every hunter. The fishes and reptiles decided to make man dream. The birds, insects, and other small animals created many new diseases. The plants, who were friendly to man, heard what had been done by the animals and agreed to furnish man with a cure for each of the diseases. Thus came medicine.
Many plants are used as medicines by the Cherokee. They believe that medicine brings a person back into balance with the world. They believe there is a spirit connecting all things, and they understand, therefore, that it is through their spirit as well as their mind that they know how to use plants to bring back balance. When a plant is taken from the forest for medicine, a gift is left in its place, and the first plant is not taken, but 4 plants are found before one is gathered. Many parts of the plant are used for medicine. Sometimes a tea is made from the leaves, the root, or the bark, or perhaps the flowers or fruit and drunk as a tonic, a drink which keeps one healthy. It may lower a fever or help with a stomachache. Parts of a plant may be crushed to make a poultice, a sort of paste that can be placed on the body to help heal wounds. Or a plant might be burned for the healing smoke, or boiled for the healing steam. There are many ways to bring a person into balance with the world.
I remember one time that my aunt asked me to go with her to gather some medicine for a sick person, and I went with her, and on the way to the hillside she explained to me what kind of a plant we were looking for. I knew the plant well. When we came to the woods, I saw a lot of plants that she had described to me, and I knew that was the plant. And I said, "There's one," and she came over, and she looked at it, and she said, "No, that's not the one." Yet I knew and realized that that was the plant she had described to me. So I didn't say anything. I just kept on going with her, knowing that she had something else that I needed to learn. And maybe it was because she wanted me to learn. This is the reason she took me along with her that day. I realized that later. And when we were along the hillside, I saw many, many plants like the one that she had described to me, and each time she told me, "No, that's not the one." And then after a while she said, "Bob, come up here. There's the plant." And it was the same species of plant that I had been showing to her. And this particular plant was shaking in the wind and in the breeze, and there was no breeze. That plant was trembling. And she said, "We have to be sure. We have to be sure because a sick person is depending on us." And so she said, "Let's take it down to the creek." And we took off the hillside down to the creek, and she took that root and washed the dirt off of it. And then she put it in the palm of her hand and stood there just a minute or so. And without any encouragement, the root turned over in her hand. And she said, "That's it. That's it." And then she took that root back to the medicine man, and the medicine man worked with that root and prepared it, and the patient got well. So I guess maybe it was a lesson that she wanted me to learn, that you just don't go out into the woods and pick herbs at random, one for each one.
The number 7 has great importance to the Cherokee. They believe there are 7 sacred points in the circle of life: east, south, west, and north. The sky above, the earth below, and finally, the center of the circle, the spirit. And so, in honor of this important number, we have chosen the stories of 7 of the many plants that have been part of the daily life of the Cherokee.
Kanashikti.
Dogwood is a small tree common in woodlands throughout the range of the Cherokee and well beyond. In mid-spring, the mountains are dotted with the white blossoms. These familiar flowers are not single flowers, as you see when you take a closer look. There are several small flowers in a cluster at the center of 4 large, white, leaf-like bracts. These are the same 4 bracts that protect the flower bud through the fall and winter, opening up in the spring and expanding into these beautiful white petals. The smooth-edged leaves with the distinctive curving veins are always easy to recognize in the summer and in the fall. They grow opposite each other on the twig. Even in winter, dogwood can easily be identified by its flower buds or the characteristic bark, like alligator hide. The red fruits in the fall are almost as easily recognized as the flowers, but will soon be eaten by the birds for winter food. Dogwood is important in Cherokee medicine. Teas of the stem bark, root bark, and flowers are drunk for many diseases. Root bark was used as a tonic for good health. To bathe in a tea of beaten bark helped to treat poisons of all kinds. Leaves of dogwood are commonly used to cleanse the skin after touching poison ivy. The leaves are crushed to release the sap from them, then rubbed onto the skin. The wood of dogwood is very hard, and after the Europeans' arrival, was used for making tools. Wedges made of dogwood were used to split logs.
Souchan.
In the early spring woodlands along mountain streams and in other moist areas, the first growth of Souchan may be found. The leaves are cut and ragged, and the early growth may carpet large areas of moist ground. By late summer and into the fall, these plants have grown tall and are covered with bright yellow flower clusters. Patches of Souchan provide spectacular color along roadsides in August and September. The clusters of bright flowers resemble those of the black-eyed Susan, for Souchan is a relative. Instead of the black eye, the flower head has a green center, and so it is also known as the green-headed coneflower. The flowers are visited by many different insects, such as this hoverfly, or a busy bumblebee. It is the deeply cut first leaves of spring that are the most useful part of Souchan. In the first few weeks of growth, young leaves are picked, then washed carefully, and boiled until tender. The water is poured off, and the greens made ready for the final stage of cooking. Souchan is highly prized by the Cherokee, for it is a delicious vegetable, and it is also a tonic for good health.
Dalone.
Yellowroot grows where there is water, along shaded stream banks on the floodplain of great rivers where Cherokee villages were often located. Individual stalks of yellowroot are connected by underground stems and form colonies which can be very large. Yellowroot is a shrub which grows up to 2 feet in height, its woody stem naked for most of its length. Take a closer look at the scars from past years' leaves along the stem. They tell us about the age and life history of each stalk. Flowers appear in early spring with the leaves. Both sprout from the top of the woody stems. These clusters of tiny flowers may be pale yellow or a rich dark maroon. Look, and you may even see these tiny flowers visited by equally tiny pollinators. After this mosquito has done its job, the fruits develop and the flower clusters become fruiting clusters. The seeds will ripen through the summer and scatter in early fall. When you peel away the bark of the stem or root, the wood beneath is bright yellow. The Cherokee use all parts of yellowroot to make a dye. The yellow dye may be used to color cloth or basket fibers. Yellowroot is used for medicine as well. A tea made from the roots is used as a tonic and for stomach problems.
Ihya.
Also along rivers, growing in great abundance on the broad floodplains, river cane was readily available to Cherokee villages. The stems or reeds of river cane are tall, reaching up to 10 feet, and look very much like a slender bamboo, which is a close relative. The lush new foliage in early summer covers these stems in a rich green blanket. The plants grow closely together and form dense stands of tall, handsome reeds. River cane flowers in the spring. When finished blooming, the plant dies, turning brown by summer. Only a few stalks bloom each year. The ripening seed is soon ready to shatter onto the floodplain. The long reeds of cane were very useful to early Cherokee settlements. They were woven into mats to cover floors and walls. Reeds were also used to make fish traps and burden baskets. Beautiful baskets are still being made today. Blowguns are made from large reeds of the river cane. Each reed must be carefully prepared so that the blowgun dart can pass through it. Darts are feathered with the down of the thistle. The darts are loaded into the end of the long cane reeds and blown to great distances and with great accuracy. Cane reeds were used to make flutes. Beautiful flutes are still made and used today.
Zeyu.
The tall, straight trunks of poplar make it an easy tree to identify in the forest. Poplar is common throughout the mountains in all of the Cherokee lands. These fast-growing trees are recognized by their triangular shape, which is obvious in the fall when the leaves turn a bright golden yellow. But it is by the leaf of the poplar that we always know this tree, in spring, summer, or fall. The leaves are unusual in that they are notched at the tip like a fishtail instead of having a point. No other tree has a leaf like this. The buds of poplar are also very special and like no other. Take a closer look. They look like a duck's bill. Even covered in winter ice, the buds will tell us who they are. In spring, they peel away to make new leaves. Poplar flowers in late spring. The colorful green and orange flower is shaped like a tulip, and European settlers call this tree tulip poplar. The flower of the poplar might remind you of its close cousins, the mountain magnolias. Just like the magnolias, the flowers of poplar are large and open with a cone-like center. This cone becomes the fruit, easily recognized in fall and winter. Poplar trees contribute much to Cherokee life. Their long, straight trunks were carved into sturdy canoes. The canoes were made in a special way. Small fires were started along the length of the log and carefully tended. Moist clay packed around these fires kept them contained. The charred wood was then scraped away and, in 4 to 6 weeks, a canoe was hollowed out. Today, the wood is used for lumber and pulpwood. The fragrant bark of poplar was also used. It can be crushed and made into a tea used for many ailments. A poultice of crushed bark may be used to heal wounds. And large sections of poplar bark were used to roof houses. In addition, since its introduction in colonial times, the honeybee has provided honey from the large amounts of nectar produced by poplar flowers.
Kanstazi.
Another small tree common throughout the woodlands, sassafras, you might know for its leaves of 3 different shapes on the same tree. Leaves with no lobes, mitten leaves with 2 lobes, and leaves with 3 lobes. Sassafras is also easily recognized even in winter by the green twigs, and often grows close together because its roots spread underground and put up new stems as they grow. In the fall, the trees may be spotted by the color of the leaves, often a deep orange, beautiful in contrast with the rich gray bark. The greenish-yellow flowers are present before the first leaves in the spring. Smell them. They smell like root beer. The green fruits develop throughout the summer, but by late summer turn dark blue while the stalks are bright red. Birds love these fruits, so they don't stay on the tree long. A tea made from the roots and root bark of sassafras makes a refreshing drink appreciated not only by the Cherokee, but native peoples throughout its range, and was quickly adopted by Europeans as root beer. Shavings of root bark are boiled, the resulting tea strained, and appreciated as a pleasant drink. The tea is also drunk, however, as an important medicine to purify the blood and treat several diseases. Those who drink this tea know to take caution, for large amounts of tea can be poisonous. Sassafras is also used to flavor foods. The fragrant bark is used to scent soap. And the wood is used to make furniture, especially bed frames, since the aromatic wood repelled bedbugs and other insects.
Wasty.
Along steep slopes drained by cool mountain streams, in the rich woods of the high mountains in very early spring, before leaves are on the trees and the forest floor is carpeted with spring wildflowers, ramps make their appearance, often in large patches. The beautiful, broad, strap-like leaves are easy to find in the open spring woodlands. The odor of the leaves, and especially their underground bulbs, tell us ramps are a relative of onions. The leaves completely disappear by early summer, just as the flower buds begin to form, and the plants are all but unrecognizable in the lush growth of the forest floor. When you take a closer look, however, you will discover the tiny white flower clusters. Ramps are highly prized for their flavor throughout the mountains by all people.
We're in the Waston, Nogwon, now. We're in the place of the ramps now. And Sunale, Yogi Lucha, this morning we came. We gently move the soil so we won't damage the roots of the ramps. We cut the bulb as close as we can to the roots, but we leave the roots so we won't destroy the entire plant. And as we bring them out, we husk them or peel them off and throw away the husk so that we'll have less work to do when we get home with them. Ramps are very strong. They're strong with your breath. They're a cousin to the onion family, but they are good, very good, delicious, a delicious vegetable.
Ramps are also a wonderful spring tonic, and they were specifically used as a cold and cough remedy. Warmed ramp juice is helpful for earache. Ramp festivals are held every year in many mountain communities to honor this wonderful vegetable.
Ramps is the first greens that come up from the earth in early spring. That's what we're celebrating today. Every year we have Ramp Day to honor our Creator for His gift and to honor the ramps, the king of all the edible plants. It's what our ancestors enjoyed, and it's what we are enjoying today.
These stories of 7 plants reflect the complex culture enjoyed by the Cherokee people for centuries. Dependence by the Cherokee on hundreds of plants for all aspects of their daily living is balanced by their deep respect for these plants and their natural environment. Cherokee life is defined by connections of the people to all other life and to the land, connections which they understand deeply through their spirit and their mind. These connections provide harmony to the Cherokee and harmony to the earth. We are surrounded and supported by the natural world, by the plants and animals, the earth and the sky. Take time and take a closer look at the plants that feed us, give us medicine, and provide for our daily living. Next time you walk through a forest, remember these stories of the Cherokee and know that the trees and all other plants are truly our relatives and our friends.